From this play, the theme was personhood, and some new work was created from this theme. And the first piece we're going to read, based on this theme from Shira's play, was written by Nicole Cunningham, and it's called White. There are three characters: Julia, who is 16, Lily, her mother, who is 49, and Dr. Hofstad, Julia's doctor. Lights up on a patient room in a pediatrician's office. We see Julia seated on the examination table and Lily, her mother, situated in the corner on a regular chair.
I hate this color.
You hate white?
Well, I wouldn't mind it as much if it wasn't just everywhere.
It's not everywhere, Mom.
Look at it. It's on the walls, the floor, the cabinets.
Just look at the painting, Mom.
Lily looks over at it and immediately turns away.
What?
It has white in it.
There's a knock at the door and Dr. Hofstad doesn't wait for an answer but immediately comes in.
Hello there, Julia.
Hi, Dr. Hofstad.
Mrs. Livingston, nice to see you again as always.
It's Ms. Livingston now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Better luck with round two, huh? So, Julia, you've been having some stomach problems lately.
Yes, I've been vomiting, but I'm not sure what's causing it.
How often does this occur? How many times in a day?
Well, it happens usually twice a day.
Every day, once a day.
All right.
No, wait.
What?
I'm vomiting twice a day.
But your mother just said once a day.
I know, but it's been happening twice a day.
I'm sorry, I don't know who to believe then.
Please, Dr. Hofstad, it's been happening twice a day.
Once.
Mom, why are you saying that?
Because I see you in the morning and you're throwing up and that's it. You don't throw up the rest of the day. I don't understand. You're lying to the doctor, sweetie.
No.
Hofstad is clearly listening to the mother and taking notes.
Mom, Dr. Hofstad, it is twice a day. I usually throw up again when she's at work after I eat dinner around 5.
He continues to take notes.
So let's say it's once a day.
It's twice.
Julia, don't interrupt him.
Stop telling him.
Oh, okay. Regardless of the amount of times per day, I'm going to need a blood sample. So let me get one from you real quick, Julia, and I'll be back in 5 minutes, okay?
Dr. Hofstad moves over to Julia and gets a blood sample. He quickly gathers all of his materials and heads out the door.
Mom, I can't do this anymore.
Well, I can see that. If you're not going to tell the right information to the doctor, then I guess I'm just going to have to do it.
It's not wrong information. I told you, when you're at work, it happens.
Well, why didn't you tell me before we came into the doctor's office?
Because of this, Mom.
Because of what?
This 16-year-old girl still seeing the pediatrician with her mother.
I thought you liked Dr. Homstead.
I do. It's just, I think I can be an individual now. I think I have the right to be an individual now, at least. Look, Mom, I don't know how to say this, but ever since the divorce, you've gotten much more involved in my life, and not in a bad way. Just, it's very different having you around me this much, and I'm not sure how to handle it.
It's been difficult for all of us, Julia.
I know, but sometimes...
What is it, sweetie?
Sometimes I feel like it's easier for you to assume that I'm happy than ask if I'm happy. Just like sometimes you assume things about my life, like my health, instead of just asking. All you have to do is ask.
You think that I assume that you're happy?
In all honesty, yes. Especially with the, you know.
I've been so wrapped up in my head about the whole thing. You couldn't understand.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You just said I couldn't understand. Why? Because I'm too young? Because I've never been in love? Mom, please, try to explain it to me. I promise I will try to understand.
Yes, okay, I think this is good. This is good, what we're doing right now. I want to tell you something, but it doesn't leave this room, all right?
Okay.
On the night your father said he wanted a divorce, he wrote me an essay. He wrote me a 30-page essay explaining all of the things about me that bothered him.
Mom.
Please, Julia, let me explain this. I want to. He wrote me that essay, and I read the whole thing, top to bottom, when we were both in the room. I couldn't really pinpoint all of the emotions that hit me at that time. They were all coming at me so fast I didn't know what to do. You know that I'm not one to make a rash decision, but I did at that time. And I just pulled out a cigarette from your father's desk and started smoking. You know I don't smoke. But in that moment, it sure as hell was the right answer. So I smoked and he said, "Put that away. You can't do that." And I told him, "I'm 49 years old and can do whatever the hell I want. When do I get to grow up?"
Thank you
For what?
for not assuming and just telling me.
I do admit I've been wrapped up in all this, and I probably just assumed that you were going to be okay because I had been through that. Do you understand a little more?
Yes, because you told me.
And they smile at each other.
Dr. Hospital should be back any minute. Tell him what you need to tell him.
Thanks.
Speaking of sharing, was that an acceptance letter from New Mexico I saw on your desk the other day?
Yes.
What do you want to go all the way there for?
They have a great engineering program.
So does the university across the street.
I want to work at this new airline company over in London after I graduate. I want to go to the best school I possibly can.
There's a perfectly good airline right across the street too. London, huh? You would have to call me every day.
I know.
I've lost one. I can't lose you.
I know. You won't.
They're smiling again, but at this moment, Julia's mood quickly changes to agitation.
What?
This room's too white.
End of scene. Next scene, again born of this same theme from Shira's original play pieces, is written by Shira. Again, Shira wrote the piece about her own play, based on the theme of personhood. The character is the piece is called, Growing Up. The character is Teresa, and she is talking to her 30-year-old son.
Son, all my life, I've been treated like a child. When I was young, it was because of the color of my skin. I wasn't supposed to know the things I knew. I wasn't supposed to be able to do the things I did because I was a black woman. This one time I needed a pair of dress shoes to go to a new school. I wanted this department store to get leather shoes. I went to the department store to get leather shoes with my money and my coupons. The store owner did not want me to get the shoes. He brings me a different pair and I said, "I don't want those. I want the other ones." I pointed again to the ones I wanted and he says, "Everyone else is wearing these." I said, "I don't want those. I want the leather ones. Sir, may I please have the ones I showed you?" And he turned purple. "Do you know how much money a pair of shoes like that costs?" I said, "I have the money. Do you know how many coupons that is?" I said, "I have the coupons." That night, after I fought with him for half an hour to get the shoes, I told my mother, "I can't wait till I get old and I can get out of this place." Or remember, a couple of years ago, I was having that pain on my right side. I went to the doctor like you told me to, but I didn't tell you what happened, did I? So I go in and I tell the doctor, I came in for the pain on my right side. And he checked everything else, you know, blood pressure, temperature, height, weight, inside of my ears, and all the other stuff. Then, want to talk about shots. I should get a flu shot, a pneumonia shot, a tetanus shot. I need to get a mammogram and something else. And finally, he's getting ready to get out of the door like he finished. And I say, wait a minute. I've got all this pain in my right side, and you've talked about everything else? And he says, oh, I forgot. That's been almost 2 years ago, and I haven't been back to a doctor since. And I'm looking at you. Now, since you were 17, you've acted like you think you were my father. You're always saying things like, don't lift it if it's over 20 pounds. I know how to lift. I know how to lift it with my knee and how to use my buttocks to lift it or push it. I know all these things. I had to do these things when you could do nothing. And I knew, and I know you don't mean to put me down or cut me down. You just don't want me to hurt myself. But I'm going to be 83 in a month. And you're telling me I can't have a glass of beer? When exactly do I get to grow up?
End of scene. To our second 10-minute play snippet. This play is called The Second Round, and it was written by Madeline Hendricks. And the characters are Lucy, Tara, and Caroline. Lucy is the daughter,
Youngest,
right?
yeah.
The youngest. Tara's her mom, and Caroline is the grandmother.
No, see, this is what I'm talking about, Grandma. This is the plight of my generation. We have too much freedom. One little bump in the road that I don't even understand, and he ends it.
Calm down, sweetie.
Lucy, you're upset. This is understandable. But your generation is no different from mine, except that you have more choices. You're luckier.
Why? We can go off and date thousands of people and take decades to figure it out, and then we wait too long and end up with no one. Or we finally find the one and we end it at the first sign of disaster.
Maybe there shouldn't be any disasters in the first place.
But it's a gift, Lucy. I never had any of those choices.
And you were happily married for 43 years. Do you know anyone who lasts that long anymore? Look at you, Mom. Dad sleeps with someone else. Big whoop. If that happened to Grandma, she would have stayed with him.
Lucy!
It's true. Marriage used to be sacred, till death do you part, and now we just take our sweet time finding Mr. Perfect because we're taught that we deserve everything. And then one day, you wake up all alone with a bunch of cats because you never worked hard enough at your relationships because no one taught you that you had to.
Listen to me. I was lucky to end up with your grandfather. I didn't love him when I married him. But I fell in love with him because he was a good man and he was good to our children. But I had friends who were stuck in terrible marriages, who were far from in love. Some were lonely and depressed, in love with somebody else. And what could they do about it? And they couldn't do anything about it. What could they do? Leave? Divorce was unheard of in those days. Now I'm not saying these things don't happen because of course they do. But women sure as hell have more rights than they did. We're on the road to somewhere. So don't keep on going on about how lucky we were back then. We had nothing and you have everything. So you just shut your mouth. I don't want to hear another word.
End of scene. So from this 10-minute play that we just heard the snippet of, the theme was relationships. So this is new work born of the conversation surrounding relationships. And this first piece is called What I'll Lose by Shira Harold. And it's a piece for actually 6 now voices. Here we go.
Mostly, I miss going to the theater with my grandma. Everything I could think of that could bring her smiles, I would do. I remembered that she had a lot growing up because she was an only child and her mom had loved spoiling her, so I wanted to spoil her too.
A year ago, my daughter emailed me saying she wasn't going to be talking to me so much anymore. I'm not sure what I did, and she didn't say, just that she wasn't going to be talking to me so much anymore. It was too hard for her. I don't think I'll ever know why. I've just let it be and pray I haven't lost her forever, just for now.
It was my first loss, that divorce. After it, our lives changed so drastically. Ma worked all the time and we very seldom saw her, and she got to a place where she drank a lot. I basically erased myself from that time up until now.
I think my friend lost herself a long time before we all lost her. It wasn't obvious if you weren't looking closely, and I wasn't. But in retrospect, I think there was a sort of shrinking, a retreat from herself, farther and farther away, like she wanted to somehow lose herself from the confines of existence.
When my wife got very sick with her cancer, I took care of her so much that she told the neighbor, you know, I never thought he would do all these things for me. But when I reflect on the times we had together, I find how lacking I was in showing my feelings and my love to her. Every now and then, there are certain situations where I find my love not there. And I think, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I just said all these things for her. These are the things you reflect when you lose somebody that you care for.
Now that I'm older, I realize that Ma drank because she was hurting from the divorce. But it was very hard. I just lost the feeling of needing to exist. Living wasn't a question, existing was all I could handle. Most of my life, I felt that loss. I think I only started existing again when I realized all the things I had found and been given, all the love I'd discovered that filled that hole.
When I was 9 years old, I learned what it felt like to lose myself. World War II, my dad was working in the shipyards. And somewhere in there he met a woman he thought was more important than my mom and me. I still believe he was a very good person, always was. He never married this woman who wasn't my mom.
After my wife died, I could not relate to other women as I used to with her. I have loads of women friends. We hug, we kiss, and do things together. But to me, it doesn't mean real love. No, I can't relate to them. They can't relate to me. It is that all-out decision that is to be for a person who really defines you and your love.
I made all kinds of sacrifices for my daughter. Anything she wanted to do, I tried to do for her. I don't understand what she thinks I did to hurt her. I keep thinking how much I want to hear her voice, how much I miss her. But I do believe if I'm patient and loving, she'll come back. I don't think a mother who really loves her daughter can ever truly lose her.
I remember one Mother's Day, my mom was working, so I took my grandma to see a show. We got all dressed up in glitzy jewelry and went to this fancy restaurant beforehand. My grandma said, with the medicine I take, I think it's okay for me to have a glass of wine. And even though I wasn't so sure myself, I said, do it. And I'm so glad I did, because the next year she wasn't there.
So my dad divorced my mom, and there I was. What the hell? Sure, eventually I had two families, and they both tried to get me to feel like I was part of them, but it never quite worked. I felt that I didn't exist for a long time, a long, long time.
For a long time after my friend died, I was afraid of death. The end result of it all. Lately, though, I thought of that process she went through, the slow release of the ties that bound her up to the world, or the things my grandparents have given up, skiing, sailing, walking, their independence, their friends, their moms and dads. I'm not afraid of dying anymore. I'm afraid of what I'll lose along the way.
End of piece. So this is the second piece on relationships, on the same theme of relationships, written by Madeline Hendricks. And the characters are Danny, 21, and her grandmother, Barb.
You haven't lived long enough to know you have a love of your life just now.
Okay, he's the only person I've ever loved, but if I died tomorrow, he would, by law, be the love of my life.
Well, in my life there have been three people like that. In high school, there was your grandfather. Well, there's one that's happening right now.
What? Grandma, that's so cute.
It's been a long time coming. It wasn't romantic at first, it was just a good friendship. It didn't become romantic for maybe 17 years. Half of those years I was a nun.
You met him in the convent?
It took years before it became a different relationship. He caught my eye the first time I saw him, of course. And that was a religious sister. So I had to sit on that. And you do suppress things. You do make choices in life, and we continue to do that.
You should write a book.
But you know, if I'd met him 40 years ago, we probably would have had the same problems that he and his wife had. Now we're older, and our tempers have cooled a bit. And we can see things in the long view.
Yeah, tempers. I always thought if you just really love someone, everything works out. But it's not even about love in the end.
Tell me about this boy.
Grandma, it's just so high and so low, and I'm exhausted. I can't live with him, can't live without him.
Well, you better figure out what the problems are, or they'll just repeat themselves in another relationship.
Our problems?
Your problems.
Oh, but I've tried, you know, I tried to avoid the drama and date someone nice and normal, and then all I could do was think about him. I was just bored out of my mind. But I can't marry someone who argues with me all the time like he does. It's just never ending, Grandma.
Just join the convent.
Do you think it's just about living in the moment, not worrying about the future?
Yes, don't worry about marriage now. Your career comes first no matter what. Unless he's engaged to you, he has no say in what goes on.
And if I move to Portland?
If you go and he wants to come, you can't tell him what to do. He can follow you if he wants.
Yeah, but I will kill him in Portland, and he will ruin my career. But I love him. I can't explain it. And I know it's because I'm young and stupid, but I'm so tired.
You need to do what you need to do. And he needs to do what he needs to do. And if that works and you come back together, well, I'd be surprised, but
I think we need therapy.
I think you can do it for yourself. When people are angry, there's usually something beyond that. Just get past what you think the fights are about. What is it really about?
His mother.
See, I don't even know him, but that's why I asked.
See, don't you wish it was just as simple as you fall in love with someone and then everything works out?
No, that would be boring.
But like with your current man, see, if I met this guy in 20 years, we'd probably be very happy together.
Well, you should do the Empire State Building thing.
What?
Well, you know, or they decide 30 years from now, I'll meet you there. If we're both free, we'll see how it works out.
This is so depressing.
I can't say there isn't a sadness to it. You have as much heartache as you have love and anger. You can't be angry with somebody you don't love.
I think I need to be alone.
You need some time separate so you can maintain an identity of your own. I see people do that in every generation. They just can't separate themselves and have their own identity. Do that if you come back together again. Well, just never go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Or just join a convent.
End of scene. It's called Writing Straight with Crooked Lines, and it was written by Ed Churchill. And this is a little snippet from the play, from Ed's play. Eric and Ed enter with a table and chairs stacked on top. They set it in the kitchen area.
Can I offer you guys a drink, some bread?
Oh, I couldn't.
We'd love some. Thank you.
Charlene and Grace set the bread and drinks on the table. They sit for a moment and eat and drink. Charlene leans against the kitchen counter for the following conversation.
So, how long have you been here?
Got out the shelter a month ago.
The shelter?
Yeah, Father Bill's place. It's a homeless shelter in Quincy. Stayed there 3 years.
And then you've been sleeping on the floor here for a month?
Well, the ADA helped me out to get out of the shelter. Got me a good deal on this place. But I didn't qualify as disabled enough for any kind of stipends, so I couldn't get any furniture.
Not disabled enough? Are you kidding me?
I'm blind, but I'm not completely broken.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, but it's hard to get help around here. You're never poor or disabled enough to qualify, and if you are, they give you just enough to get by, but not enough to get out. You guys were the only ones who didn't ask questions, just showed up. Thank God my sister heard about you.
How did she hear about us, by the way? Boston is actually a little outside of our range.
A guy she worked with, Paul, Paul something. Burns, maybe?
Paul Burns. Wow.
What?
I haven't seen Paul in years. He was my roommate in college.
Strange how those things work out.
Nothing strange about it. There's an old Portuguese saying, God writes straight with crooked lines. No such thing as coincidences. Now Ed, what do you say we get the rest of this place filled in, huh?
Yeah, let's do that.
Ed and Eric leave once more, and Grace is left with Charlene. End of scene. So Ed also chose the personhood theme for his piece. So here are some new pieces born of that theme, and they're born from the conversations surrounding Ed's play that we just heard a little snippet from. So this first piece is called There Goes the Neighborhood, also written by Ed.
It was horrible. I lived in Detroit. It was pretty bad back then. The bad part was the way in some neighborhoods that the African American or black people or whatever you want to call us took it all, especially after Martin Luther King was assassinated. I remember the next morning they burned down everything they could burn down. My grandmother was in the hospital that day, and we had to walk about 6 blocks because the buses weren't running through that area. They had burned down the shopping center. The buses went through. It was the stupidest stuff I'd ever seen in my life. I was so disappointed and disgusted with the human race that they could do this. I would hear people say, oh, this is just payback. We used to be slaves. Don't tell me about once upon a time we were enslaved. That's no reason to destroy everything. I don't belong to people like that. They are not my people. My people wouldn't do that. You get even through the law. That's what I always told my children. It was crazy, and it kept me moving a lot. If I was in a neighborhood and the demographics changed, I had to move on. There was this one place we moved into. It was beautiful. The best neighborhood you could think of. Our neighbors looked like the world. Then this real estate agent started scaring all the older white folks away. This guy, I'm telling you, he would tell these scared old white folks that the neighborhood was changing, that the black folks were going to come in. There goes the neighborhood. So he'd convince these people to sell their houses for way less than they were worth. Then he'd take it and sell it at a higher price to a poorer family. But I had this pastor. He was an activist. We got busy and we ran that real estate agent out of town. Oh, I used to love working with that pastor. JC, I used to call him, and he'd call me GT. I said to him all the time, you honed all my activist skills. I had them all the time, but you taught me how to use them. I even stopped saying, I probably shouldn't tell you this. I don't pledge allegiance to the flag. There's the part that starts talking about liberty and justice for all, but I have to think about who is the all? Who is the all? Because it wasn't me. If you weren't affected by it, you didn't really think about it. We were standing in this meeting about to testify to try and get funds for people who needed help. So I said to him, JC, I cannot pledge allegiance. You know all the stuff I've been through. I cannot say with liberty and justice for all, because that's a lie, and I'm not telling that lie anymore.
And this is the fourth and final 10-minute play snippet that you're going to hear, and then some pieces following it surrounding the theme. This piece was written by Nicole Cunningham. There she is. It's called 29. Ingrid and her grandfather hang out on a Saturday night. Ingrid is stressed about her 30th birthday coming up in a week.
I love this. I love just sitting here and relaxing with you, watching a game. And you want to know something? I hate baseball. Yeah, I said it. I despise baseball, but I could care less because I'm watching it with you, and you make me laugh because you make fun of it sometimes. And then Tommy will make some stupid remark, and then you retort with something witty, and life is good this way. This is a good life. I like it. I love spending my Saturday nights with you. I look forward to it every week like you have no idea.
And so then why do you want to go acting out like other 29-year-olds?
Because it's as if I'm missing life or something. Like, if I don't act like an actual 29-year-old, then there's a piece missing. A piece of my life has floated away because I didn't know how to act my age at the time.
Did you know that I have been called too young for my age?
What? You mean like what you tell Tommy?
Yeah, but he's different. Anyway, I've been told that I'm too young for my own age, even from your grandmother. You don't see me much except on Saturdays. I know it's because I live a ways away. But every night I'm in my shop and I'm building toys for kids. Not necessarily for them, but for me. See, I never wanted to grow up, which is why I became a carpenter and made toys. I'm a kid. I'm a big kid. Your grandmother would use less kind words. But when I was growing up, I never really was my own age. At 30, I was acting like a 16-year-old. And at 30, I was acting like a 20-year-old. Now at 73, I feel like a 60-year-old. Hell, sometimes I act like a 12-year-old. Even now. The point really is the number may change, but you don't have to. As long as you're in pursuit of happiness, then you are immortal. And age doesn't matter much to immortals, does it?
Ingrid smiles at this and has taken it truly to heart. And then Nick brings out his present for his granddaughter from earlier.
Grandpa, my birthday's not for another week.
Yeah, I know, but I know how much you've been struggling with all this whole age thing. And I know how much you dread birthdays. So I thought I'd give it to you early. It's something I thought we could do together tonight. Well, with age, I just thought, you know.
Ingrid opens her present to find a box of Legos. She's so happy, maybe even tearful at this wonderful gift.
You know, since you're too old and I'm too young, I figured we could just both give up tonight and be 5-year-olds.
Welcome, DJ. Thank you.
End of scene. Oh wait, sorry, they both sit on the floor. They both sit on the floor opposite each other, building the Legos just for one night, becoming the 5-year-olds that they are. The theme from this play is kind of twofold. It's acting your age, and what about my generation? So these are the themes we drew from this play that Nicole wrote. And this first piece, this new piece born of the conversation surrounding this theme, is called Step Aside, and it was written by Ed Churchill.
What are you doing? Standing there on the world stage talking about some grand and glorious past, acting like life used to be golden, but somewhere along the way it all got messed up. I won't tell that lie. You built a nation. You built a world, and now you're going to leave it to us. It was you, the politicians, the lawmakers, the executives of the generation before us, that set us on this path. Now look at us. We, the youth, grind through the day-to-day, all the while spewing more filth into the air, boiling ourselves alive in the greenhouse gases of your poor planning. While you all sit above the world, viewing the nation from the top, there is so much beneath your feet that you cannot see. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, the hungry grow hungrier, and the sick grow sicker. The generation that passed this world to you goes forgotten and uncared for, and the generation you pass it on to struggles to get educated, enlightened, employed. I won't tell your lie. Trillions of dollars in debt, toxic air to breathe, a nation at war, ravaged by gun violence, struggling to come back from the brink. A nation steeped in bigotry and divided among party lines, more concerned with what happens inside the bedrooms of two people in love than with thousands who go hungry every night. A nation crying out in pain. This is what you leave us with? Really? This is what you give us as you pinch our cheeks and tell us you are the future. Well, fine. We'll take it. We'll take the failures you lay at our feet and we will turn them into challenges. And those challenges will become our victories. And we won't sit by and watch while those who came before us fall away, forgotten, hidden, and unheard. We won't hear the cry of a hungry child at night and walk on by as if it was simply a chirping bird in the breeze. You might say I'm angry. You might even say I am furious. I am. But if we, the youth, are brash and loud and boisterous, maybe you will listen. It's the only way you listen to each other, and to be honest, we're just trying to get into the game. Can you hear us now? As we occupy Wall Street, Washington, the capital of the nation, and the capitals of every state, those footsteps coming up the stairs, those hopeful voices in the distance, that's us. We, the youth. We're coming now to take the nation you leave us. We're coming and we will not be turned away. So you keep telling your lie. Because when it is finally our turn to look to our children and say, you are the future, we will do it with the knowledge that what we give to them will be far better than what was left to us.
End of scene. The second piece from this theme of acting your age was written by Madeline Hendricks, and it's written and read by Samir.
And now I'm gonna tell you. You know that someone last week had to. I'll start again.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry. You know that someone last week had to remind me of my birthday, and this is why I go out of my mind sometimes. I haven't even thought of it, and I was so involved with my sister. She's not well, you know. My friend told me, well, what are you going to do with your birthday? I said, when is my birthday? And, you know, she kind of laughed, and then she said, it is, honey, it's tomorrow. What a surprise as well. So, yeah, I'm thinking, once we get out of this, I would just need 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, to do me. Because, you know, they say that her condition is fatal. My sister, that is. I want to ask the doctor some questions, you know, but I can't. I can't because there's something in me that just can't. My sister almost died on me already a few weeks ago. You know, we forget these things sometimes. But she came back. Thank God she came back. That did something to me. And it's something I can't explain or even shake away from me. It's there in me. After I got her to hospital that day, I just couldn't stop. I cried. And I really cried. And I couldn't stop crying. But you know, it was all in the mind. People in the medical field, sorry, they have our minds trained and thinking that we have to accept the sickness or the other. Because we are of a certain age. But you don't have to accept that. It's all in the mind and how you're thinking. I heard of a woman the other day who's 86 years old, and she walks a tightrope. The only reason you could tell she was old was because she has some wrinkles on her hands. I want to be like that. But another birthday and another year. You know, what I must do is buy me a tightrope.
Two more pieces to read here, both born of this same theme, originating from Nicole's play. This next piece actually was written by Nicole, but it also kind of touches on all the themes, on personhood, relationships, acting your age, all the things we talked about. It's called Push-Pull, and this is how it starts. We see Lauren on stage. There's both a younger version and an older version. The younger Lauren is 16 and just beginning her relationship with Rob, and the older Lauren is 61 and just ending her relationship with the same Rob. They are the same person.
I'm divorcing you, Rob. Rob, we know each other and that's it. You knock on the door and find me there and say, "Hi, darling, how are you?"
I'm good. How are you? Come in, come in. My parents aren't home. Kidding, kidding. Rob, you know it's only our third date. You think too much, you know? You've never called me Lori before. I like it. Keep it, will ya?
I'm fighting to remember what you called me. You had a nickname for me. I've lost it, and I can't get it back. And after 10 years, you started calling me Lauren again, and not that nickname anymore. And I knew that's when I should have ended it, Rob. Your love just isn't there. I keep telling myself, I wish I'd said.
Don't ever stop calling me Lori. I'll hold you to that. Because the minute you start calling me Lauren again, I'll know we're not in love. So, are we taking the Volkswagen to dinner? Or? Oh, your mom's driving us. Hi, Mrs. H. Let me just grab my purse.
God, what was the name? What was the name? It was our third date. No, fourth? Fifth? I don't know. I remember your mom drove and I was only 16 and I gave you something. God, what was it? I'm trying so hard, Rob. I'm trying to remember a place where we were happy, and I can't. I just can't. These are the things you reflect on when you lose someone you care for, these memories, and I can't get them back.
I wanted to give you this poem. It's nothing much, but I care about you, and I know it's only our third date, but I wanted to write you something, and well, here. You see, this is gonna sound crazy, but
I remember my 16-year-old self and saying something like,
all I want in my day is to be able to be around you and give you anything to make you happy. There's never a thought of, oh, are you going to do something nice for an anniversary? Oh, are you going to get me a present for this?
oh, are you going to pay for a date? It's always,
I want to give you this because I saw it and it reminded me of you. I want to see you and see how your day is going. It's the greatest feeling, Rob.
But what do I know? I may not even have said it. And there's this big question mark to how we understand relationships with one another. But in that moment, I had no question mark because
This is what I know. I love you.
I give and I give to you, and there's this hole left from where I used to be a person. And to bring that person back would be just as futile as keeping a hold of a marriage. I'm as committed as a person to helping anybody. If I see a man with a bag that's heavy, I'll help him, disregarding if it's even too heavy for me. But you're the person that stays back.
So generous. You're so generous. Don't ever let me forget that. Thanks so much for paying the bill, Rob. So generous.
I'm still mad about things that happened 30 years ago. You're still mad about things that happened 10 years ago. Do you think if we would have met tomorrow, none of this stuff would have happened and we would have been happy together? It's that we just can't see each other for who we truly are. There's never been a question of how much we love each other.
But you love me this much? I love you this much!
It's never been questioned. There's a lot to be said for that. We just fell in love with each other very, very quickly. But we just cannot. We just fight. And it's so sad. Because when we were young, we just thought,
If you just love someone, everything will work out.
but now it's more about how you get along with somebody. And I logically can't understand why.
I love you so much.
And it hasn't worked. We've spent 45 years together, and I'm trying to figure out if it's a giving thing, or an acceptance thing, or an age thing, or just because I hate you this much.
Hey, so after dinner, I had an idea. My parents will be home, but I was wondering if you wanted to do something fun, like Legos. No? Come on, what are you, 90 years old? It's not stupid. Me and my dad used to do it all the time. He's an engineer, and in my younger days, he was the one that brought out the Legos. He still brings out the Legos. He always used to encourage me to build my own things. We still have this map of this street and stuff, and we used to just build on it together. Come on, even if it's just for half an hour. Let's just be kids. I'm not being childish. Doing that kind of thing is actually kind of what makes me feel my own age. So come on, let's trash this restaurant and do Legos.
No, you said. That's childish and stupid, and I won't take any part in it. You're being 5. Come on, grow up. Huh. Funny how I remember that part of our date. Our fate was sealed with a conversation about Legos. Sounds silly, doesn't it? Well, the truth is, Rob, you never really accepted that part of me. That 5-year-old part of me. And our contract, it seems, has expired. Maybe it never really existed, I don't know. But I'll tell you this, I will never stop fighting. I will never stop fighting to pull the memories from my 16-year-old self in hope of one day feeling happy again. And I will never stop fighting to push the memories that I've created with you these past 10 years away from me. And that push is why I'm leaving you. But I will pull and pull and pull until I can't pull anymore. Not until my heart, only my heart, but my mind is broken from pulling so much memory back from when we started, in hope that I will become at peace and tell myself that I made the right decision in my life, even though it's all over. It's worth that much to me, the passion we had back then. It was the only time I've ever felt pure love.
End of piece. This is our final piece, again born of the conversations from the 10-minute play that Nicole wrote. This is the theme of acting your age. The piece is called Lines, and this piece was also written by Nicole Cunningham. A 65-year-old man, Archie, sits next to his 5-year-old granddaughter at a table with a piece of paper in front of them.
Now, nice. Thank you for being. We're going to play drawing how to do things. Now I'm going to draw a line. See, like this. Okay. Now I'm going to give you the pen. Hey, wait. Now, just a minute, let me explain. Yeah. So, you're just like your mother. Now, I have drawn this line, right? And you kind of started scribbling, that's good, that's good. What are you going to do with the line other than just this? More? Yes, yeah. Come on. Hey, all right, okay. I'm just kidding, go crazy. More. So many squiggles I see. Are you gonna give me the pen? It's my turn now? Thank you. Okay, here is a circle. What are you going to do with the circle? I see it. It's beautiful. Really. Keep drawing. Keep drawing. I don't want you to ever lose this. Yes. What I mean is when you see a line, don't be afraid to squiggle on it or make circles or whatever, you know. Yeah. What did you say? Did you tell me something? No? Break it? Sure. Yes. You can break the line. You can smash the line. You can even crush the line. There you go. But wait. Never just be okay with the line, you know? Oh, you want to know what's... Yeah. Now I see you are coloring with the green. Yeah, you want to color? Color. challenge you with red. It's the color of passion. And we say, what's passion, right? Well, it's really hard to explain, but I'll try my best. Keep trying while I talk. There are a lot of things that are in passion. There are something like desire, love, affection, inspiration. Oh, passion is essentially something that's within you that can't wait to come out. Whatever emotions you have, and you just can't hold on to them any longer, you need to express them, right? Okay, yes. I like the people in musicals that sing the songs. You could do that, yes, you can. Be one of these singers, right? They are bursting with passion and use music to get it out. You know that. I know you know that. You could do that, sweetheart. Yeah, sure. I'm sure. And you would never have to grow up, right? You don't want to grow up? Okay, good. Me neither. I don't like to grow up. We did a good job here, didn't we, huh? Very good. I like it. I like it very much. Yes, the people in musicals are passionate. The people with open minds and gracious hearts and generous hearts are passionate. Your squiggles are passionate. You are passionate. Yes, you. You see, passion is a gift to all those that can break the line. Right?
End of piece. But before we go out and do that, if we could just take a couple minutes here to see if the audience has any questions about our process, or about the pieces, or anything. Yes, Mr. K.
I would like to ask the playwrights, what was it like writing from conversations as opposed to your usual methodology, which was